every day.
If
But
you
the
don't
point is,
stop, if you don't stop telling that lie, sir, you're not going to sit here and lie. No black people are in South Africa killing white people with impunity. That is a lie. I've been to South Africa. The black people there are completely subjugated. The black people are living in shanty towns, in little raggedy townships, and the white people are living high off the hog. I have a video of me walking all around South Africa proving this. You're not going to sit here and lie, sir. Now, we're not going to do bad faith arguments. Black people are not killing white people with impunity in South Africa. Now, sir,
so being a farmer, a white farmer in South Africa, is one of the most dangerous
that's
professions
a
there
damn
is.
lie. That
It's
is a
not.
lie. That is a lie. It is not dangerous. Nobody's harming the white people in South Africa. The white people in South Africa are well protected. There's videos of them smacking the black people around over there. The black people over there ain't turning up enough, as far as I'm concerned. They ain't turning up enough over
So
there.
you would
So don't play
advocate for
that
more
shit.
killings of white people in
I
South
would
Africa?
advocate
See, this is
justice.
why I
I
say
would.
that
I
you're
would.
anti-white, Tariq.
That's not anti-white. That's anti-white supremacy. You should not be in a position where you subjugate and dominate and mistreat the people based on race. If they're in a position to counter that and produce justice, they should produce justice, just like they did in Zimbabwe. And Zimbabwe is still dominated by white supremacy because the Western powers have economic sanctions on them, sir. So let's
Zimbabwe
speak truth
literally
about it.
fell because they deported the white people from the farming industry out of the
Stop.
country, and then the
Okay,
blacks didn't know how to farm, leading.
if you don't stop telling that lie, now these are white supremacist lies, sir. I have been to Zimbabwe. There are plenty of black farmers out there. What do you mean they didn't know how to farm? They've been out there
Because the
for
white
millions of.
people had the industry, they had the tractors, they had the knowledge, right? I'm not saying that
Stop,
black people
sir,
aren't
sir,
capable of
sir,
learning these
sir,
things.
sir, stop. You're trying to say that these people in Zimbabwe been there for hundreds of thousands of years, didn't know how to put seeds and water into the ground, because that's all farming is, sir. Is that what
A
you're
lot
trying
of
to say?
civilizations never had like farming on any industrial level. Sure, you can
Like
have some.
like Europe? You mean like Europe? Europe was not an agrarian society. It was not an agrarian culture. You guys were starving in Europe, sir. That's where the people who didn't know how
Europeans,
to
the
farm were.
British invented the second industrial revolution.
No,
We
sir, you
invented
didn't.
mass farming,
You,
mass production. What are you
no, you,
talking about,
sir, you
Tariq?
didn't, sir. You got other people to do it, which were black people. When y'all came over
Let
here
me
to the
let me
state,
just tell.
when you came over here to the states, or to what would become the United States, by yourselves, you're damn near starved to death, sir. You came over here and starved to death in the early colonies that you tried to form here, sir. We're not going to rewrite history. Is that
Tariq,
true or
can you let
false?
me finish a sentence before you cut me
But
off? It's
because you're not
extremely
going to
bad
lie.
faith.
Okay, okay, I'm not going to, you're not going to lie. I'm not going to let you lie, sir. Now, did you guys come over here and starve without black people helping you or not?
Well,
Name
if
a
you let me
prosperous.
actually land a point without muting me,
Okay, you answer my question. Name a prosperous white European colony that was over here in North America before black people got involved. Name it.
I agree. Foundational black Americans have a claim to America and they
Then
helped
thank
build
you. Then
America. I'm
thank you.
not
Well,
disagreeing with that statement.
don't use bad faith arguments, sir.
This
Okay,
is
but
not
let's go
bad
back to
faith.
Zimbabwe.
You don't.
Let's go back to Zimbabwe with this whole thing where they didn't know how to farm. That's horse crap.
They
There's
didn't
black
know how to
farmers all
farm on an
over.
industrial
Yes,
level,
they
and that was proven
stop
by
it,
the
sir.
deportation of whites and the subsequent failure.
Okay, so why do they have the economic sanctions on Zimbabwe? They have harsh economic sanctions on Zimbabwe, sir.
Do you know
If they
about
are
the
so,
history of Botswana? Botswana is probably the most successful
um,
sub-Saharan African country.
I'm talking about Zimbabwe. You're talking about something else. Every time I bring up a point, you change the subject on some whataboutisms. Let's stick to Zimbabwe. All right, let's not dance and dribble and mayo babble. Why do they have economic sanctions on Zimbabwe the way
Zimbabwe is
they
a
have
failed
them?
state. They fucking
It's
persecuted black
failed
people.
because of the Western powers. It's because of the white supremacists. They put economic sanctions on Zimbabwe. That's what the problem is. They
Yeah,
put
because they
economic sanctions.
genocided the white people. Why wouldn't we put
Oh, well,
sanctions on them?
stop it. The white people were genociding them in Rhodesia. What were they supposed to just sit back and let the white supremacists subjugate them indefinitely?
No, but you don't.
All right then.
You've got no argument. So they had farming on a subsistence level, but not industrial. Right? They didn't know how to use the
Well,
tractors. They
sir,
didn't
no,
know
they
how to
had
use the
trade. No, no, no,
chemicals.
no, stop. No, 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 no. They had open trade markets when the white supremacists were over there dominating everything. It wasn't that they didn't know how to industrialize the farming. The trade lines were open, and when the white supremacists were put out, they closed the trade lines. That's what it was. It wasn't because they were so inept. I've been all over Zimbabwe. I've funded some of the farmers over there. Sir, you're talking to somebody who's been there. So that bullshit you saying, that's not going to work here. I've been there. I've been all over Zimbabwe. They have plenty of farmers. They know how to grow food. They know how to develop all of this stuff. The sanctions from the white supremacist powers, these are the things that's harming them, sir.
Sure. Like sanctions do harm, but they're also a a good way. So, do you agree with the sanctions on Russia? Do you think that a country should be disciplined for doing bad actions on the international stage?
Uh-huh.
Do
Uh-huh.
you agree with that? So we both agree
But
that
but
Zimbabwe
I
should have
I
got
disagree
sanctions
with
for
sanctions.
genociding the white
I
population.
disagree I disagree with sanctions being put on countries based on race, and you're going to punish people for not wanting to be subjugated. And the people, Ian Smith, who was over there running Rhodesia, he was the one talking about he wants to maintain white supremacy for the next 1,000 years. So, do you think that's a just society, sir?
I don't think that's just, but I'm pretty sure the deportations and seizure of white farmland was far after the collapse of Rhodesia. But I do want to move on
Uh,
to I
do
do
you?
want to move on to
Uh
Botswana
huh.
because
So
Botswana is
you're
what you
agreeing?
should be looking up to in the African subcontinent. Botswana is the most successful nation in Africa, I would say, in terms of global peace index, GNI per capita, human development index. It's even more advanced than most of these North African countries. And the reason for this is after the British basically left Botswana, after they gained independence, the Botswanan president at the time had the second poorest country in the entire world. They were like most of the population, like 80% were illiterate. There was mass starvations, famines. It was in an awful state. So what he did is he's like, okay, we don't have an educated populace to run this. What we're going to do is we're going to actually contract the British to help us run the country for a decade, write our constitution, implement the legal systems and societal kind of structures, and look at what the achievement was. Whites aren't trying to hold down Africa. China's robbing you now. Whites actually built infrastructure and trade routes and everything in Africa.
Okay. While they drain the resources, they're not okay. Let me mute you. They're not doing Botswana a favor. It's dominated by European powers. They come in and they act like they're doing you a favor. Hey, look at us. We're going to come in and we're going to build this infrastructure as we get all of the diamonds, the gold, the cobalt, all of the precious minerals and resources, and we're going to drop a couple of grains of rice to you. So they're just dominated by Western powers. That's another trick of white supremacy. Also, Botswana is a pedophile paradise. That's where all the white supremacists go over there and get with them underage kids out there and do everything under the child of God to these kids. So that's not a good deal. Look up Botswana and pedophile. It's major over there. That's a playground for white supremacist pedophiles. So don't use Botswana as a damn example, sir. That's another sanction and section of white supremacy. You keep proving that
Speaking
we're
of
under the
pedophiles,
global
your name is
dominance of white
Tariq.
supremacy.
Speaking of pedophiles, your name is Tariq Nasheed. Are you a Muslim?
Okay, sir,
Muhammad was a
you're
Muslim and
just
he's your prophet, right? He married a 6-year-old child and raw dogged Aisha when she was 9. Okay, so you should not talk about pedophiles in this context, my man.
okay, sir.
He also
You
owned slaves and he called black people raisin heads.
now,
What do you think about
sir,
him?
sir, you are from a European Christian nation. The Christian churches today have priests that rape boys wholesale all over the place. The Vatican and these people look the other way.
This is what
Yep.
aboutism, okay?
Yeah, oh
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. If you're gonna talk about them, we're gonna talk about you. You don't want to talk about
no,
no
no. Are you a
pedophiles.
Muslim? Can you
You
answer the
don't want to
question?
talk
Are
about
you
no
a Muslim?
pedophiles, sir. Y'all churches, these
Are you an
Christian churches,
Islamic
sir,
supremacist
sir,
radical?
sir, your Catholic churches stay up in boy bussy every damn day. Y'all rape and molest kids like it's nothing. Y'all went over to Africa raping and molesting kids. Y'all enslave people. You guys sanction the modern slave trade. You want to talk about Muslims and slavery? The Vatican was the one who sanctioned slavery, and the Christian church was the one who codified it. You go into these African nations and these black nations and these indigenous nations first with your damn Bible, then with the slave chains. And then you have the nerve to sit up here talking about a Muslim enslaved somebody 1,000 years ago. Man, you got a nerve on you, don't you?
So no, the Muslim slave trade, the Arab Islamic slave trade, was 1,000 years before the transatlantic. They also enslaved 10 million white people. You
Oh,
probably didn't
and
know
they
that.
started it.
And
They
Saudi
started it.
Arabia, the
They
most
started it, and you mastered it. They gave you the alley oop and you dunked the ball, sir. So you are not at liberty to point the finger and reprimand any other religion when you've mastered the game of slavery and subjugation, sir.
Europeans were the ones who outlawed slavery worldwide through our
Stop
colonies.
it. Stop
No,
it.
we are.
Stop it.
Hey,
You don't, no, no, no. A rapist don't get credit for pulling his dick out, okay? Just because you pull your dick out during the rape, you don't get no credit. You guys codified and industrialized modern slavery. And after you stopped doing formal slavery, you had other forms of slavery, which is now the prison system. Now you've industrialized the slave system. So you don't get no credit for the antebellum slave system that was really stopped by foundational black Americans. Y'all got tired of them ass whoopings that we kept giving. We were the ones who said enough is enough. It was us living in those swamps, coming out of those swamps, whooping ass and stopping the slave trade too. It was black people, foundational black Americans, who were the ones fighting in the Civil War because the North was losing to the South. Abraham Lincoln thanked the black people, the freedmen, and the other black maroons who fought in the Civil War because he said if it weren't for them, they would not have won the Civil War. So we're going to tell all the truth of history, sir. We're not going to do the white supremacist
Tariq,
cherry picking.
Tariq. The
Uh
British
huh.
Empire ruled about 80% of the population, of the global population. They were the ones who had the most influence in the world economy, the world system, and they outlawed slavery, right? But more.
Sir, the British, all they did was stop the importation of black people all over the globe because they turned Africa itself into a giant plantation. They said we no longer have to bring people from Africa and other places to the Americas and to the Caribbean. We can just put a economic fence around the whole continent and we dominate it right there. We'll dominate the people right where they are. That's why many of those names over there in Africa were named by the white supremacists in Britain. Nigeria was named by a white British woman. They codified and then they colonized the whole continent of Africa. They sat up here and went to the Berlin Conference and carved up Africa and start divvying out parts of Africa to different parts of Europe, sir. So we're not going to give them credit for stopping anything. All they did was expand slavery under another name, which was colonization, sir.
Tariq, could I just make my point on slavery? It'll take 1 minute.
And white people, yeah, my name is Tariq. White people, y'all kill me. Tariq. Tariq. Listen, Tariq. Y'all kill me with that. That's so condescending. It's Tariq. But go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry I mispronounced your Arab master's name. So, when it comes to
Okay.
slavery, there's more slaves alive today than at any point in human history. Right now, in countries like Mauritania, Chad, Niger, there's a chattel based, meaning you were born into it, a chattel based, race based slavery system where the Arab Berbers are enslaving millions of black Africans called the Iceland. You can look this up. I made a video about it. I can send you peer reviewed
Mm-hmm.
articles on it. No one talks about this. Millions of black people are enslaved by Arab Berbers across Africa today, right? But you want to concentrate on
Mm-hmm.
white people 200 years ago? Come on, dude.
And I'm concentrating on you now
And
because they
Muhammad,
can fix that
Muhammad,
over there.
you
No, no,
dude.
no, we ain't talking about Muhammad. No, 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 no. If they want to take care of that, they need to go ahead and handle that because I'm talking about what's going on over here. We're handling what went down over here. This is why we have a reparations movement over here now. And also, the slave trade now has been industrialized to the prison industrial complex. That's the new slave system. It's run just like a plantation, sir. So slavery didn't go anywhere. It became industrialized and it's alive right now.
It's funny because like when white people talk about like, so I'm Irish Hungarian. My ancestors were enslaved and sent to Australia. But you're like, oh, well, that wasn't chattel slavery. But now you want to make the distinction. Now you want to be like,
Sir, your people in Ireland, they were criminals and they were sent over to Australia because that was a penal colony. They sent the worst people from Europe over there to Australia, and y'all went over there and slaughtered the damn Aboriginal people. And then when they sent y'all over there to Tasmania, you killed almost all of them. You had a complete genocide of the damn Tasmanians. So that devilish genocidal mindset just follows you everywhere you go,
So
doesn't it,
the
sir?
Irish were criminal for stealing a loaf of bread to feed their family. Most of the convicts sent to Australia were crimes of necessity. They weren't malicious.
Oh, crimes of necessity. So when poor black people do crimes of necessity, it's not, oh, where they were just trying to feed their families. It's some genetic deficiency that makes
Do you
black
know what a
people
straw man
criminals,
is?
right?
Because this is what you just did here.
Oh
I
no
was
no no no
actually
no no
making
no 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 no
comparison.
no 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 that crime of necessity shit. Because when we talk about the poverty levels and crime over here, that's based on poverty. It's like no no no, y'all just do it because you black. That's a part of the black culture. And ain't no fathers around and all that shit, right?
Tariq, I'm blowing you out with a fraction of the time you allow me to speak. How does that feel?
No, no, sir, you
The
just made it
Australians were
babbling. But go ahead.
slaves. They were sent here to do slave labor, rented out to private companies. They were
No, you were not slaves. You were not slaves. That was a penal colony. They were sending prisoners over there.
I
They
don't
were
expect
sending
you to
criminals.
understand nuance, but so I'll explain this to you.
They were
The
sending
Somerset
criminals over
Act
to
out
Australia, sir. They were sending criminals to Australia. Is that true or not true?
criminal according to the British Empire, the same empire that genocided the Irish people. Come on, dude, have a bit of nuance. Do you really think that
Okay,
do you really
stop.
think that it's worthy to be sent across to a new continent to be rented out in chain gangs to corporations for stealing a loaf of bread to feed your starving family? If so, you're the criminal. You have a very immoral
Well,
mindset. You
everybody,
just
okay, stop with that. They were getting a loaf of bread. They were sending over some of the rapists, the murderers. They were sending over some of the hardcore criminals. Everybody wasn't stealing bread. Some of them were stealing pussy. They were stealing a lot of stuff. So they were sending the hardcore criminals over there, and they went over there doing hardcore criminal shit. They went over there with that criminal mindset, murdering the Aboriginal people. They weren't stealing bread. They were stealing lives, sir. They took that same criminality over there to Australia, and some of them they sent them over here and they had the same criminal mindset,
You're
sir.
just
So
completely
miss me
false
with
on
that
this. The
loaf of
vast
bread, sir.
majority were crimes of necessity, menial crimes that wouldn't even be
Stop
indictable
it.
offenses today. If you want to talk about a criminal
Stop it. So why were they over there genociding the Aboriginal people then, sir?
If you want to talk about a criminal population, we can talk about black Americans, dude. You can't compare like gang shootings in like
Oh,
1350 to stealing a loaf of bread. So don't point the finger from a glass.
oh, stop it. Miss me that loaf of bread, and you can't say shit about Foundation of Black Americans, sir, because the criminal class is orchestrated by the white supremacists over here. The majority of black people are not criminals. Criminality is only sanctioned to a few neighborhoods and urban areas, sir. Most middle class and well-to-do black people do not engage in criminality. But, sir, you have a culture of white supremacy, which is a global criminal culture
Do you
that
base your moral system on laws? Because at one point it was illegal to be Jewish, it was illegal to be black. So to use an empire like the British Empire that had genocidal policies against the Irish and say, oh, well, they're criminal because they were exporting food out during a fucking famine that was planned. This goes to show that you have no nuance to history. You think everything.
sir, you can miss me with that because you guys got lockstep in line with the British Empire practicing white supremacy. The Irish became some of the most hardcore white supremacists once they allowed you into whiteness. They allowed you guys to be mass police officers, and you did your job subjugating the black people with glee. So you can miss me with all of that stuff about how you were genocided because you would have fought the white supremacists who harmed you. Instead, you wanted to be like your so-called oppressors, which makes you worse than them, which makes you a coward. We, as foundational Black Americans, we never wanted to be like our oppressors, and we're the only ones who fight white supremacy to this day. You sat on this phone several times and tried to deny that white supremacy even exists, and they practice white supremacy on the Irish because the Irish were not allowed to be white for a long time. They were only recently allowed to be white going into the late 1800s, sir. And when they allowed you to be white, you tried to be the best white supremacist you can be. So, sir, please stop.
No, that's true. What you just said was true for once.
You damn right
There's
it
a
was
lot of
true.
crossover between the Irish Americans and the Black American experience. I don't know if you're familiar with Seneca Park in Central Park. This was an affluent Irish and Black community. 80% of the community
It
was
was a
Black,
black community.
20%
It
was
was a black
Irish, and it was
community.
bulldozed.
Okay, it was a black community. Seneca Village was a black community. Many people thought it was derived from Senegal Village. That was a black community, and we let Irish people in. But it was a black community. We've always taken in some of the poor Europeans and taken care of you, sir. So it wasn't no equal type of thing.
It
That
was
Seneca
20%
Village was a black
Irish.
community.
It was. And the
Sir,
Anglo
I don't even
Americans
believe it was that
bulldozed
much.
it. This happened numerous times. The first KKK chapter was against Catholicism, which was basically a proxy for Irish and Italian immigrants. You're not the only one that has some impression. Like every group in America, every group in every country. There is a privilege to being in the demographic majority. I live in Thailand, right? If I go to court, I would have a worse time in that system. I'd have a worse time finding a job because of the in-group preference. People favor the majority demographic because that's the majority of people in that nation. This
Sir,
isn't
this is
exclusive to
babble. Sir,
white
this is
people. White
babble.
people actually have the lowest in-group preference out of any population, with the least.
This is babble, sir. This is just babble. This is babble. To be honest, this is babble, sir.
No, it's actually
This is
backed
babble.
up. It's backed up by studies. There's a
This is
study from the
babble.
University
No,
of Berkeley, right? And it
sir,
found that black.
sir. This is babble. This is babble. You doing? Because see, it's real simple. Y'all try to make white supremacy more complicated than what it is, and this is something that you created. This was created by your community. Because I want to get back to the gist of what the conversation was about. Is white supremacy a myth? And white supremacy was something that those in your community said was going to be true, and then they militarily backed it up. The white forefathers sat here and promoted white supremacy. Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Jackson,
Every
the
single
Supreme
large
Court.
empire, powerful force has promoted their own racial supremacy. When the Mongols went in and killed 20% of the global, the Mongols killed between.
Okay, we're not doing whataboutisms. I'm talking about white supremacy because the Mongols right now are under white supremacy right now. All of these other empires are under white supremacy. Some people, let's go back to India. We were talking about India earlier. There was a racial caste system in India going back centuries ago, but India is under white supremacy because they were dominated by the British. And then they started sounding like the white supremacists, like Gandhi and others. All of these other places you're talking about right now
This is
today
such an
are dominated.
unnuanced view, Tariq. Come on, my dude. I know you're smarter than this.
Is it's either true or it's not true, sir. I'm just talking truth or not truth. Which one is it?
It's not
Am I
true.
telling the truth
So,
or not?
hang on. Let
Okay.
me let me.
Then you got to prove it's not true, and you're not going to babble, sir, because you think you're going to
No,
babble
no,
in
no. I'm
circles,
going to
and we're
prove
not
it's
going
not
to do
true. I'm going to prove it's not along racial
that.
lines right now. It's very simple. The distinction
Mm-hmm.
in wealth inequality and geopolitical power is between the global north and the global south. The global north isn't filled with just white people. The Gulf region, Japan, Korea, these are all part of the global north that benefit.
There, sir, these are people who are allowed to be at certain political positions, be in certain political positions. Japan and all of these other non-white nations, they're still under the thumb of the white supremacists, sir. They're under the thumb of white supremacy. Name a
You sound like
nation
a
that's
conspiracy
non-white.
theorist. If I said.
Okay. If name a non-white nation that's not under the thumb of white supremacy that the white supremacists can't destroy
Well, I think
immediately. Name
everyone
one.
is under the sole superpower on this planet is America.
Name a non-white country, sir, that the white Western powers cannot immediately annihilate. Name them. Hello?
You muted me. So as I was saying, is America? I wouldn't even consider America a white country, and America bullies Australia.
Stop.
America has bases all over Australia. They fucking blackmail us
Uh-huh.
with trade agreements with China. This is an example. Look at you, Tariq. You have more influence.
America's run
You're
by white
oppressing Australia.
supremacists. America's okay. You're changing the subject, sir. That's called deflecting. See, you like to deflect. I'm gonna ask you one more time because deflection means that I'm right. One more time, sir. We'll do it one more time. Name a non-white nation that the white supremacist Western powers cannot immediately destroy. Name them. Go ahead, Dr. David.
Okay, so the BRIC nations are making allyship right now. Brazil, Russia, India, China. They've got Saudi Arabia. Saudi
Okay.
Arabia.
So,
You
Saudi,
won't let me finish
really?
a point, dude, because you know I'm blowing you out on every point we've actually had a disagreement on.
Saudi Arabia, really?
Saudi Arabia is doing proxy wars across the world right now. Yemen's been in a state of
You think
perpetual
the
civil
white
war
supremacist
from
powers,
outside
sir,
influences. For,
they ran up in South, and after 9/11, they ran up in Saudi Arabia so fast, sir, after 9/11, really? You think the
no, they
Western
didn't.
powers can't
That's the
run up?
irony. They didn't. 20 something like 90% of the hijackers were Saudi. Yet Saudi didn't get any intervention. They intervened in Iraq and Afghanistan. Saudi Arabia was sweet because they're powerful. They got money and they got allyships with America.
Sir, they control the American and the Western powers control the oil and things like that over there. But they got them in check. They got Saudi Arabia ain't moving nothing. They got Saudi Arabia in check
Tariq, you
already.
sound like an
Yeah.
Islamic fundamentalist. Are you a Muslim?
Okay, stop it. You're
You
just
need to
saying
change
stuff,
your
sir.
name. Change it to.
Sir. The Western powers run up in those Middle Eastern countries all the time, just keeping shit up. They run up in the Middle Eastern countries, dropping bombs, all that oil and money they got. Man, the Western powers go over there anytime they feel like it. House in the oil, house in the poppy seed fields, burning shit down. They go over there wrecking stuff over there in the Middle East. They ain't running nothing over there over the white supremacists, sir. What are you talking about?
Some Middle Eastern countries, sure, but there's other Arabs destabilizing those as well. Saudi Arabia, the Gulf regions, they're sweet, dude. They've got very high advancements in Human Development Index and like.
Because the U.S. control them already. They're basically U.S. satellites, sir. They're
I
satellites of
mean,
the
that's a
United
nice
States government.
conspiracy, but they seem to be doing their own
Is it
thing. It's a
really?
sovereign nation, is it not?
But it's sovereign, sir.
You
These
didn't
people
address
got
the point
puppet,
before about the.
but sir, they have puppet governments that's controlled by the Western powers, sir. They have puppet governments, and if you have people who try to buck the Western powers, they send those jackals and they send those Eric Prince soldiers over there to go get them, sir. And you know that. Come on,
Is it?
stop.
I mean, this is a kind of a racial take, a racist take that you have. That white people are so superior that we can just control the 190 countries in the world.
Because you do. Which ones don't you control?
I mean,
Which
isn't
ones
that a
don't you control?
testament to our intelligence and our advancement in warfare? Like, goddamn, I mean,
You might
maybe we
be.
should worship whites if we're capable of this.
You might be. Hey, I've never denied that fact. Maybe you are intelligent, or maybe you're just more devious. Maybe black folks don't really understand the level of evil genius that some white supremacists have. There might be something to that, but the fact is, you, the white supremacists, they control the globe
I mean,
militarily right now.
black people shouldn't have the capability of being evil. Have you heard of the Rwandan genocide? In a year, they hacked to death with axes and fucking like hammers.
Mm-hmm.
A mil-
And that's on them. They got turned out psychologically by the British and by the European powers who supplied all the weapons. So yeah, that's on them. Holler
you
at them.
know what's
We
funny is
don't do
that you have this.
we we don't do that. Foundational Black Americans, we ain't on that. We ain't doing no genocides of anybody. We're the only ones who are fighting white supremacy consistently, sir, and that's why people always have to focus on us.
You could actually construe the gang wars in like places like Chicago as a genocide. I'd say.
Stop. Don't. That the gang wars are an exaggeration of the white supremacist imagination, sir. You don't even try to compare the Bloods and Crips and the Vice. It ain't even that damn serious. That's a an exaggeration of the
Come
imagination,
on,
sir.
man.
It ain't
In
even.
certain places,
Stop,
in certain
stop
suburbs,
it.
there's worse crime rates than the most violent countries in the world. There's more
Where?
PTSD.
Where? Where? What suburbs? Because any crime in America in black areas are always concentrated in certain parts of
Yeah,
urban
that's what I'm saying.
areas.
If you take those urban areas that have worse crime rates, worse violent crime, intentional homicide rates than places like Iraq during the Iraq War, like the
Oh no,
PTSD
no.
levels in these countries, you could compare that to a genocide.
Well, stop. And the only reason we have violence in those areas is because it's orchestrated by the white
Every,
supremacists. The white supremacists orchestrate all of it. Do they not?
Why?
These places are these places are heavily policed. We can't police them as black people because we don't get the resources. That's why we're trying to get reparations. The white supremacists have all the resources to do the quote unquote policing, and there's more crime than ever. You get billion-dollar budgets, yet there's more crime. So why is that? If it's not intentional, if it's not for the intent of creating more crime, they orchestrate the crime,
So,
right?
okay, if we want, you want to move on to Black American cultures, because I wanted to make a couple more points about Arab slavery and why it's so silly that you're a Muslim, considering you're
I'm not a Muslim, but go ahead. Go ahead.
okay. So Muslims today still enslave black people, and as I
That has nothing to do with us foundational black Americans. I know there's slavery all over the world. And who are they selling the slaves to? They're usually selling them to the white supremacists in Europe, sir. You're not going to wiggle out of it. There's a market for that stuff. Yeah, they're over there getting African people from East Africa, Somalia, Ethiopia, running them up there through Libya, Morocco, and all of these other places, and they're sending them to Europe. There's a European market for them, sir. So we're not going to leave the white supremacists out of it because they
dude, the
orchestrate the
chattel-based
whole.
slavery in Niger, Chad, Mauritania, these are in villages where black people are born into slaves to Arab and Berber masters. They run away, right? They go to the police. The Arab
And they sell them to white Europeans, sir. They sell them all over to in Belgium, Germany, Britain. There's so many people up there, black people who are sold and enslaved in Europe and the UK. So yeah. It's orchestrated by the white supremacists, sir.
So
All
the
the
slaves in
usual.
these countries stay in Mauritania. At one point, I think 2007, 10% of Mauritania was enslaved, and they were mostly black people, and the owners were Arab Berbers. Yet you say nothing about that because you want a memorial.
Because the white supremacists are getting some of those slaves too. So you're not going to just point the finger at the Arab Berbers and ignore the fact that many of these enslaved people are sent up there to Europe. You love leaving Europe out the mix, and they're the main culprits, sir. So you and the Arabs are fucked up. How about that? Go
If
ahead,
I
sir.
could live, if I was a black man and I could live in any part of the world, I'd pick a white country. Are you seriously arguing that if a black man's enslaved in Europe and he runs out into the street and says I'm a slave, that the cops are going to arrest him and take him back to the bus? Because that's what happens in Mauritania, Niger, and Chad. This is a false.
Don't give a shit. Ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm a foundational black American, sir. That's something that they would have to work out. I'm in my homeland that I've been in for centuries upon centuries. So that's what I'm concerned with. I'm not the global police of anybody. I'm talking about what's going on in here. My main focus is what's happening over here with foundational black Americans and how we react to systematic white supremacy. And our job is to fight and combat white supremacy to replace it with a system of justice. Isn't a system of justice more preferable than a system of white supremacy?
There is no system. Can you tell me one law in America or in any Western country that criminalizes being black?
Yeah, the common law. It's a common law now. You used to have the laws on the books. You used to have the signs on the books. You used to have the laws very overtly written out. A black person could not live here. A black person could not work here. A black person couldn't be here after dark. A black person can't drink from this water
And
fountain.
I agree,
You
those are
had
racist laws, but what's a law
uh,
like that today?
Okay, this is what I'm saying, sir. The spirit of the law is still here. After 1965, black people got them laws erased off the books verbally, but now you practice those same laws in common law. So now when a black person gets shot by a white cop, instead of saying that the black person deserves it and the white cop is going to get off because he's white, you say, well, the black person scared the white cop. The white cop feared for his life. So wink, wink. It's a common law that
So
you
it's a
practice these
conspiracy.
same.
You can read the cops in.
That's not a conspiracy, sir. The spirit of those laws are still there. You practice them through common law now, just like with Kyle Rittenhouse. Kyle Rittenhouse got what
This
a
is
black
funny.
person couldn't.
Let's stay on.
Uh, no, because a black person couldn't pay for what Kyle Rittenhouse got done to him in court. Kyle Rittenhouse was a poor white man, and the court system, the judicial system, the police system, the media system bent over backwards for him. The judge acted like his damn attorney. a black person couldn't pay 10, $15 million to get that kind of treatment. So whiteness itself has monetary value, and it's based on common law. It's an understood understanding that people don't even have to verbalize. They just know this is how it's supposed to be. And that's the insidious part of white supremacy, sir. So when you say show the laws on the books, yeah, you done took the laws off the books, but you got this osmosis type of thing where everybody's supposed to know what you're supposed to do as white supremacists when black people are involved. That's the power of it. That's why you have to deny that white supremacy exists now, but you still practice it, sir.
I mean, I don't know how to argue with a conspiracy theorist on this topic, but let's talk about police shootings.
Conspiracy, nothing, sir.
Black
That's a
people,
conspiracy.
unarmed black Americans have a 1 in a million chance of being shot by the police. If you really think there's a war on black people,
Sir,
you're
sir,
paranoid. You
sir, killing unarmed innocent black people, and it's very important that the black person is innocent. That's a way to codify white supremacy because, as I said earlier, supreme means I can kill your group with impunity and you can't kill mine. Name the black people who are
need,
killing white people in America with impunity.
like so, you can look at interracial homicide rates, right?
Name the black people who are killing white people with impunity. I can name several
There's
white
no one
people
who's
who,
killing black people with impunity in America.
George Zimmerman, what's that? Darren Wilson, sir, um, Daniel Pantaleo. The list goes on. I can go on
It's
and
funny.
name
The
all of these.
first, the first person you mentioned, Zimmerman, he's a fucking Mexican, Guatemalan. Like
Who's white? He's a white Hispanic.
he's a
He
Mexican
classifies
goblin. Come on,
white.
dude. This guy does not look white.
He classifies himself as he's white enough.
Yeah, if you look at
He's
the
white enough.
FBI's most wanted, the 10 most wanted.
He's white. He's white enough. The white supremacists all supported him and gathered around him. He's white enough,
He's
sir.
not.
He's white enough to practice white supremacy, sir. But go ahead. Name the opposite. Name the black Zimmerman. Name the black Eric Daniel Pantaleo. Name the black Darren Wilson. Name the black people who's killing white people with impunity. I want to hear this, sir. Name the black people who are killing white
And
people
just
with
for the
impunity.
record, to the listeners,
No, 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 no. You're not going to deflect. Name the black people who are killing white people with impunity. Let's make it plain. Go ahead.
I just want to say that you keep muting me, so like that.
Name the black people, one more time, who's killing white people with impunity, sir. One last time.
There was a black cop that killed a white Australian woman. A couple years ago. That was pretty
And
shocking.
he went to jail.
Well, the white cops that kill black people, if it's
He
unjust
went to
murder, if it's
jail.
literally a murder,
He
they
went
go
to,
to jail
okay,
too. David, what's his name?
okay,
Derek
okay.
Chauvin, the guy that killed George Floyd, who died.
It took a global damn uprising to get that man in jail, sir. It took a
So
global
that's not
uprising.
impunity. I can show.
Half the country was burned down to get that man charged, sir.
Do you know what modern day debates is? Maybe we can actually have a research topic and
Okay.
we can debate this.
Thank you so much, sir. All right. Because now you just deflecting and babbling. There we go. He tried to talk about that white woman who got shot in Minnesota. And yeah, they put the cop in jail by the black cop. They put him in jail. So now you don't have an argument. So now you're fishing. So if you're fishing for an argument, that means you've run out of material, sir. Then you want to talk about Derek Chauvin. No, there was a global uprising to get that man charged. That's how strong white supremacy is. You have to have a global uprising to get one suspected white supremacist locked up. Yeah, Lord. But I think that was a good debate. I think that was a great conversation. I think it was constructive, right, family? I think that was pretty constructive. It's a lot of people in here. What's up, Sincere? I see you, fam. I think that was constructive. But anyway, shout out to everybody in the room. Guys, you guys, if y'all haven't seen my new movie, American Maroon, that's a great movie. Go to american-maroon.com. It's talking about how black people got out of the swamps and started fighting white supremacy. Speaking of white supremacy, american-maroon.com. You can also go to Amazon and get it. Where are my LA people? All my LA people holler at me because we have an event out here at the Hidden History Museum for Juneteenth. Got a great mixer, um, um, comedy event, networking event that we're going to have at the Hidden History Museum. Get your tickets at hiddenhistorymuseum.com, ladies and gentlemen. Hiddenhistorymuseum.com, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, I'll try to be on a little bit later. Um, I'm going to go kick it with the family for Memorial Day. And again, go to hiddenhistorymuseum.com and I'll check in with y'all later. Peace.